Welcome to your favorite podcast that never deads it. This is Play in the Field. I'm your host, Ryan Field, joined now, as always, by our fan favorites, Jen Matarese from here at ABC in New York, our Bachelor insider, and our Bachelor expert, Gina Sirico, out there at KABC in Los Angeles. Ladies, welcome. What an episode. So much to discuss, so much going on in Paradise. We are 8 days in, and it feels like we're 8 weeks in with all of these storylines that are unfolding. Jen, what was your biggest takeaway from what we just watched?
Oh, gosh. I loved the love triangle between Gary and Leslie and Natascha. He had the best entrance. He just comes in with all this energy. I think the Goldens are really bringing the entertainment this time around.
I think they're definitely bringing the entertainment. And Gina, there's one thing that we know about Gary, and that's he's all of a sudden become, he was a fan favorite. We had him on this podcast, and he is quickly becoming a ladies' favorite there in Paradise now as well.
He's become the resort stud.
Yes, he has.
Everybody loves him. I mean, but it's also like Goldens and the young ones. They all love him. He just brings this infectious, like, positivity and energy. And who could blame him? He's so happy. I love him. And I hope that he finds the love that he's looking for.
Did you think that he was going to hit it off in a romantic way with Leslie?
I did not think that. And I also didn't think he had, like, and Jonathon kind of called this out, like, Gary's got game.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite pick. I knew he had game, but not the game to go from woman to woman to woman to woman. And I was like, you go, Gary, you little player. That's kind of what the vibe I was getting from him.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Like, the thing about him is that, like, look, as someone who is single and still looking, you look to people and you look for people who are that, like, authentic and authentically themselves. And that is Gary to a T. Like, he's just so lovely, and you can't help but like it. And I think that's kind of like what the ladies are seeing right now.
And Natascha mentioned he's such a good listener, and he really takes in what they say and is thoughtful in his responses and really wants to get to know the person. And that's so important. So
yeah, and that's why he is. How did you refer to him, Gina? As the stud?
The
resort stud. That's exactly
that.
why he is the resort stud. That storyline, just one of the many we need to unpack. But I think we have to start with Mr. Deadit, and that's Mr. Dale. And I think the overall reaction for me as I was watching this unfold is my immediate reaction was, I can see why things didn't work out with he and Claire Crowley, because the way he handled this situation and almost like none of these are my problems. These are all your problems. This is all your fault, not my fault. We come from different backgrounds. And I just feel like right from the jump, he could not have handled this any worse.
No. And I think when someone comes to you with something they're upset about, the response isn't to turn it around back at them.
Right.
Because she did nothing wrong. She's asking him a concern, and she wanted to know about something that happened. And he kind of made it seem like she was wrong for even have discussed it.
Yeah, and listen.
How dare she like be not okay with him kissing somebody else and not telling her about it?
Yeah, and I right. How dare she is right. And I do think there is, we've talked about this before. You know what you're getting into. You know what you sign up for when you get on the show. And, we've seen other couples so far in Paradise maybe have a little bit of communication issues and not being fully transparent. And then they get upset. And then when they are fully transparent, they also get upset about it. So it's almost like you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And I understand his point where he didn't think it was a big deal because clearly he chose her. Clearly he chose Kat. And not, why am I blanking on her name?
Allie Jo.
He did not choose Allie Jo. So I can understand his point as to why he didn't think it was a big deal, but I can also see Kat's side in it and that he should have been honest with her. And because he wasn't honest, now she's questioning all of these other things. Yet despite all of that, I wanted to get your ladies' thoughts on this. She still ended up giving him the rose over Jonathon. And I was like, come on, did she just make up this drama because it really felt like they were on the outs? And then she gives him the rose, and then she's crying to the girls in the room, I can never be with this person. It's almost like, make up your mind. If you thought this guy was shady, then don't give him the rose.
Well, and I think he kind of proved her point when it's after the rose ceremony. They're sitting at the bar, and she makes a joke, and he kind of gets all serious about it and makes her feel bad in a way. And she's like, what is this? You know, like, you're the one who did what you did, and you're going to say that we have come from different backgrounds, and that has nothing to do with it. Like, he kissed another girl because he wanted to, I guess, in that circumstance. He should have said, hey, by the way, just so you know, I did kiss this person, but I now feel that I'm fully invested in you, you know? And that's, I think, what she was looking for. I think she was willing to accept that. But when he kind of danced around it, and then the whole deaded it situation, I think it was just kind of annoying to her more than anything.
Which I did have to look up, Gina. I thought it was I deaded it as DEBT. As in, like, I'm in debt. And then we all thought that. And then I was like, oh, deaded it as in killed it. Oh, I see.
If they hadn't put it up on the screen.
Yeah, right. We would have never known. Gina, your take on all these shenanigans.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, I mean, I agree with you, Jen, that, like, I think that if he would have just been, you know, when she asked the question, he answered it. But then, like you said, he was dancing around. If she would have just said, yeah, you know what, you're right, I maybe should have just told you when it happened. It's kind of like when, you know, these other people get asked on dates and they go to the person that they're with. It's just one of those things where it's a little bit of a courtesy to the person that you're in a relationship with. He clearly did not have any of that going on for her. And that's a little annoying. And I think that, here's the thing. I think we all saw Kat do a lot of crashing out the last time that she was on Paradise, which was the last season. There was a lot of drama surrounding her, and I think she's grown. I think there has been growth there, and I think that she was trying to handle this maturely, and he didn't. And he was throwing all of these, like, what were all of these phrases, the deaded it? Like, what is that? By the way, thank you, Bachelor in Paradise producers, for actually counting the exact amount of times that he did it.
Yeah, that was great. In Kat's voice, no less. Yeah.
37.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So beautiful.
That's a lot.
But then, like, also, like, right, exactly. And then also the, you know, the women in my family are 10 toes down. What? And then the other thing about the turning off the TV or changing the channel. And it was like, what are you saying? He was trying to say all this stuff that said absolutely nothing. And that's the part that, like, that really irked me. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see why Dale has been single all this.
Yes, exactly. It was a lot. It was a lot of word vomit, a lot of deflection.
That's the perfect phrase.
Yeah, and I love how they supered or identified Jonathon ready to swoop in.
Yes.
As he was there for Kat, like the shoulder to cry.
Proud of him. I was like,
and I was hoping, because we all love Jonathon, nobody more than Gina, obviously, but we all wanted him to get a rose, which he ended up getting. But I thought Kat giving him one and being done with Dale was the right play. She saw it differently, but I feel like, to your point, Jen, she had immediate regrets once it was over with.
Yeah, but now we have to wait and see what happens in this next episode. Can they reconcile again? Is this just going to be over and over again with Dale and Kat? And then Jonathon, I'm interested to see, can he make a connection with one of the new people who comes in? Because that would be great for him.
Well, he certainly made a connection with April, Gina, who was purring on him at the beginning, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, where on earth is this going?"
I love when Kathy was like, "Yeah, your address is Cougar Town."
Absolutely. Your level of surprise, and again, you ladies are the historians of this franchise. Gina, your level of surprise, where did it rank in Bachelor lore? Jonathon getting a rose from April in that rose ceremony.
Well, since this is the first time that we've had the Goldens at all in Paradise, it's never happened before. It's obviously, it's to use a word, unprecedented. It's unprecedented. So it's interesting. I think if we can go back to the Kat thing for a minute, had she chosen Jonathon over Dale, it would have changed the dynamics a lot, because April picked Jonathon, there were less Golden guys. Yes. That was a whole other logistical situation that kind of was altered by Kat's decision, along with her own situation. Back to Jonathon, though, I think it's going to be interesting to see if he can find a connection. I love the fact that the Goldens were all like, we love you, and we really want you to find somebody who sees you for who you are. Which, as we all know, is a pretty decent guy. And those are few and far between in this world. We're just going to throw it that way. But yeah, so hopefully, they all kind of find what they're looking for. And it's going to be interesting to see how the golden side of it plays out too, because there are less men there for them.
Captain Kim was so rude to her. I was horrified by what he was saying, you know, and then Jack comes over and just sticks his tongue to
Which
her.
I thought was the wrong move.
But she was oddly was like, that was exactly what I needed, Jack. And I was like, wow, I was thinking you were going to be like, whoa, Jack, we're just friends or, you know, something. But she was like, you know, she took it all in stride. Obviously, it was not as good of a kiss to prevent her from giving the rose to Jonathon, but it would have been interesting to maybe see Jack or one of the other guys get to stay to see if they could have a connection with Faith or, you know, somebody.
Well, listen, shoot or shoot, and Jack shot his shot, and he had clearly had a little bit of the good stuff while he was down there leading up to that during the cocktail party. He had a few and was had the liquid courage to go ahead and plant one on April, and I thought it was going to backfire on him as well, or I thought it would backfire on him, and it certainly ended up doing that. But I also thought Kim, the one of the more surprising lines of the entire episode, when he was like, "Oh, I know Leslie's going to give me her rose," and I was like, "Wait a minute." What gives you the confidence? Because their conversation, that snippet that they showed, couldn't have been more awkward. And it was almost like he self-sabotaged himself because he had a great chance of getting a rose from April, but he wanted nothing to do with her, thinking that it was going to be Leslie giving him the rose. Leslie ended up giving him the rose, but that's only because of what transpired right before that.
I still wonder why she picked Kim.
Yeah, right, because she said she had no, instead of CK or one of the other guys.
Yeah, like, but maybe just as a friend, you know, like give them a chance. Like you could even say that as you hand out the rose, like, I think of you as a great friend. Here's a rose, you know, and see if they'll take it. But Kim, I think, was an interesting choice because now he's off to the races.
Right? With the poem.
I love that he wrote the poem.
I love that he's a writer, but like, I'm glad at that moment that Leslie was like, yeah, I see this kind of like as a friend thing. Yeah. I'm glad that she was able to say it. Like, it was, I was really surprised. Well, actually, no. Natascha's playing the game. She knew that she needed a connection, you know, and she needed somebody, and she liked him, and she didn't want Leslie to have him. So she picked him. As, you know, as the way the order went, like, it worked in her favor because now there was Leslie without the guy that she really wanted.
I was so shocked.
I know. And then later too, when Gary was kind of like, I don't really feel it that way. I applauded him because I really do think, like, whatever happened with him and Leslie, like, it just works. And to be honest, if they can get back together, you know, like whatever the next coupling is, I'm sure he'll pick her because the guys will be next to get the roses. I could see them going all the way in whatever this new format is and whatever they have to do to win. They could be somebody that could go all the way to win.
And, you know, we're talking about the $500,000, of course.
Yeah.
And that is the crossover, as you've mentioned, with Bachelor Pad.
Yes, and they even brought that up, which I loved.
Yeah, they did bring that up. Yeah, that was a nice touch.
But it seems pretty intense. It looks like Survivor-type games almost, you know? And it's kind of interesting to think from, I guess, a producing standpoint. Okay, we have this dating show. Everyone's falling in love. You know, we're doing chemistry games and whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, did you realize you're also on this other game show that basically is for money? And this is, you know, and they're all like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at least Bachelor Pad, you kind of knew what you were getting yourself into. Sure. I think this is going to be surprising, even for them, I think.
Is it too much, do you think, Gina? Or are they trying to make too many games, too many, what can we call them? Not distractions, but too many, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but do you think they're maybe crossing the line a little too much with all this?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, look, I think that we've seen other dating shows, like especially the summer ones like Love Island and these other ones, where there is a prize of money at the end. And maybe that was what was inspired, you know, that inspired them, that and Bachelor Pad, you know, kind of all mixed up. I think it's like you know, just mixing it up is interesting. I think catching them by surprise is also interesting in that this whole money thing, it may bring out a different side of some of these people. we'll see how that all goes. I'm gonna be watching closely to see how these relationships actually work.
I wonder, I mean, you also have a younger generation competing against an older generation.
Sure.
In some of these games that seem pretty physical. So is that fair? I mean, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what the games entail.
Misdirection was the word I was looking for.
Yeah. There you go. I feel like with the games, Jen, I feel like they know the Goldens and they love the Goldens. I don't do anything to harm them.
No,
so
I don't think they'll harm them.
Like, you know what I mean? I feel like they're probably like, they know what the limits are.
Yeah, I just feel like, is it a disadvantage for them in competing for the money, you know?
Well, listen, we've got so many couples that we feel like are in it to win it. We could talk about with the money. Yeah. So many couples that maybe seem inseparable. Chief among them, Spencer and Jess, thank you. Spencer and Jess. Which couple do we think is not going to make it? Which couple do we think that is coupled up right now is not going to make it further? Like, I might say Brian and Parisa. Something about Brian, I feel like, I don't know that he's all in on Parisa. But I guess Dale and Kat, we have to still count them as a couple, but I don't think that's going to last very much longer.
Bailey and Jeremy, because there was a lot of clips of Bailey crying.
Yeah, right. I just want to go home.
And also a side note, what did you guys think of the gum when they were like kissing and then it's like,
do you want this gum back?
Yeah, no, guys, no. Just no.
Is it weird I didn't mind it? Maybe that says a lot about me. I don't know.
Do you share toothbrushes?
I do not share toothbrushes.
That's like up there with sharing a toothbrush.
But I sometimes you end up with the other person's gum and you're like, do you want this back?
I guess so.
I mean, they put that in there. I like I said before, I love how the show is edited. I love I love the pacing of the show. I love the interspersing of the music.
It's fun.
It's got a great vibe to it, and I almost wish Bachelor and Bachelorette could incorporate some of the way they do Paradise into the current format of Bachelor and Bachelorette, just to maybe modernize it a little bit is probably the best way to describe that.
That could happen.
It will. Now we have a new showrunner.
Right.
You know, maybe they will, that some of these changes will carry over.
And I hope they do. But Gina, we want your answer. What couple do you not think that we think is going to make it is ultimately not going to make it?
Brian and Parisa. I don't think Parisa deserves better. I'm sorry. And then also
hold on a second. What do you mean Parisa deserves better
than Brian?
Yeah. What don't you like about Brian?
Oh.
I'm sorry. Maybe I should ask Jen that question.
Gina, where do we start? Yeah.
The same
All right.
answer.
Well, Gina, you start and Jen will fill in the blanks. How about that?
He's a player. And I feel like, I mean, you saw in the deep tease, that they showed earlier or, at the end there that he, she said she was trying to be cute with him and he was having none of it and he snapped at her. Like, why? Why would you do that if you,
I think it's too early for that. It's too early, like in the relationships, like you said, it's 8 days.
I was just about to say that. Right? I think we need to take a deep breath. They talk about relationships. We're 8 days into this.
No, but like when you're 8 days in and you're with that person kind of 24/7. So let's say it's like a month practically, right? Of real world time.
Yeah,
in a way.
I could see that.
So, but a month in, are you starting to snap at your significant other? For lack
Not
of a better
if it's somebody you want to be with.
Exactly.
Right.
So I feel like when Dal is snapping at Kat, or getting snippy about things, and Brian in that preview, I feel like, gives me the ick.
Exactly.
It's too early.
How about the two newcomers, Leah and Nancy?
Nancy.
Where's Leah going to go here? She goes right after... I'm having trouble remembering everybody's names today.
I think she's gonna
Sean. Leah goes right after Sean.
It's too bad she doesn't go for Jonathon.
That's kind of what I thought she was going to do.
That's the...
And I thought she would have done that. And then Nancy seems kind of like there's only 3 guys left of the Goldens as it stands right now.
But she's a hot commodity.
She is a hot commodity.
She came in hot on the beach,
and we didn't even talk about the fact that Keith kind of poo-pooed what had transpired with Kathy.
Kathy,
yeah,
yes.
And he was just like, Kathy and I are just friends, and he doesn't really feel like a romantic connection.
You think Kathy feels a romantic connection?
I don't
it
know.
Like she did.
I thought she did too, and we had Kathy on the podcast last week, and she kind of alluded to we were going to find out more what happened in the VIP suite, but they never really finished up with that.
Yeah,
maybe we'll see more of it in like a flashback.
I felt like the show made it seem like nothing happened in there,
right?
Or
and maybe nothing did happen now that we hear Keith's comment
that we didn't get to see or something.
Well, all that to say, Keith is like, Kathy's out, Nancy's in.
Oh yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah.
He noticed that Nancy was like, Kathy's one of my dear friends,
right?
So like she.
And she's very sensitive. I don't think she's the type to want to hurt her friends.
Right, but it was at that point that Keith said, well, you should know that I don't really feel that way about Kathy. So I think Nancy was kind of like, oh, well, maybe there's nothing there, and maybe now I can make my move. It's going to be interesting. We already saw some friction with Gary and some of the ladies. It's going to be interesting to see how the Goldens respond to all this drama, because we didn't see a lot of the drama in the Golden seasons. They were all rooting for each other and everything else. So there hasn't really been a lot of friction amongst them. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to this as compared to how the youngins respond to it.
Yeah. How did you like the body shot?
The body shot, I thought Kathy handled it like a champ for someone who's never done that before.
One.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was her first one, if I could be honest with you.
She's done this before.
She has absolutely done this before.
That was CK?
Yes.
Yes. And, he went for it. Why didn't she give him a chance?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we lost 3 guys because of the Rose selection
I wish they
by
could bring
April.
him back.
I wish they could. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Real quick, Gina, you should know this. Jen and I talked about Jesse having a save. They give Jesse 1 or 2 saves per season, where Jesse gets to bring someone back into the mix that he felt like should have stayed.
That's a
How do you
role
like that idea?
We could have.
That would be kind of interesting, but he doesn't have very long to do that because they're closing everything off soon.
Yeah, that's true.
The next couple episodes. And
I guess we were more looking at it for maybe next season, or maybe even on the Bachelor.
Off with
yeah. In the new Golden season, like Jesse gets 1 or 2 saves per season. But,
like he wants you to take a second look at this
person.
right.
Maybe he would have saved Jack and brought Jack back. I mean, we love seeing...
Out of those 3, Jack, CK, or RJ, who would you have brought back?
Jack, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think maybe CK.
I like CK. I thought CK was...
RJ was nice, but not enough of a...
Right.
But I saw some spunk in CK in that body shot.
Yes, well, how could he not?
I was like, maybe we've overlooked him.
Yeah. Felt like he was back on spring break back in the day. He was loving every minute of that. Well, listen, we've got a lot to look forward to. We're only we were 8 days into Paradise. We're what, 4 episodes in? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot to unpack. And the trailer that is for the rest of the season shows that there is a lot of drama still to come, and we are very excited about that. And if you like our podcast, what do you need to do, Jen?
Like and follow us.
Like and follow us. This is Play in the Field. She is Jen. She is Gina. I'm Brian. Thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time.